The secrets of the pyramid. Birth of the pyramid. Sneferu, king of the pyramids. Part 1. Imhotep's great creation, the step pyramid of Saqqara, sparked a frenzy of construction in Egypt, and a nation of farmers became a nation of builders. It is even possible that Imhotep went on to design a second step pyramid for Sosa's successor, King Sekhemkhet, whose pyramid was discovered in the 1950s. After building several step pyramids, Egypt would go on to erect even greater monuments, and one of the strangest of these is the Mejdum Pyramid. The pyramid at Mejdum sits isolated in the desert about 50 miles south of Saqqara. It is a crucial step in Egypt's march toward the Great Pyramid. As soon as you see the Mejdum Pyramid, you know something went wrong. Looking more like a medieval fortress than a pyramid, it seems almost sinister. In the 1960s, Kurt Mendelsohn, an Oxford University physicist, theorized that the walls of the pyramid collapsed during construction because the angle of the pyramid was too steep. He believed the mound of sand at its base hit the top of the pyramid that came crashing down. However, recent excavations of the mound show that the collapse theory is wrong. The mound consists primarily of windblown sand. Egyptologists now that the reason for the pyramid's ruinous state was that local villagers used it as a quarry for stone, stripping it of its fine white limestone casing. But there's still a mystery. The pyramid was never used for the pharaoh's burial, and no one knows why. There is a temple next to the pyramid where priests would have made offerings for the dead king. On top of the temple are two slightly round top stones that served as ancient Egypt's bulletin boards. If you wanted something known, you carved it on a slab and put it where everyone could see it. The two sli at the Mejdum Pyramid should have the king's name and titles, but they are totally blank. They were never inscribed, a dead giveaway that the king never used the pyramid. The unfinished burial chamber inside the pyramid offers another clue that the pyramid was never used, but within it rests a milestone in the history of pyramid building. The burial chamber inside the Mejdum Pyramid is the first above-ground burial in Egypt, a radical break from the underground burial chamber concept of the step pyramid. The owner of the Mejdum Pyramid was going to be buried in the pyramid, not under it. To be buried inside a pyramid, a major engineering problem had to be solved. If the burial chamber is inside the pyramid, then the ceiling of the chamber must support the hundreds of thousands of tons above it. Constructing a room inside a pyramid had never been tried before, and the architect of the Mejdum Pyramid came up with an ingenious solution: a corbelled ceiling. With a corbelled ceiling, the walls narrow as they get higher. As you build the wall out of stone blocks, each level is placed about 6 inches in from the one beneath it, so it overlaps and looks like an upside-down staircase. Thus, when you get to the top, the block spanning the walls and forming the ceiling is only a few inches wide. A block only a few inches wide is not going to crack under the weight above it, thus the problem of how to build an internal room is solved. The innovation of a room inside the pyramid was not the only engineering advance at Mejdum. The Mejdum Pyramid is also the first attempt at a true pyramid. It began as a stepped pyramid, but sometime near the end of its construction the architect had the idea to fill in the steps. We don't know why the project was abandoned, but there must have been a very good reason. A significant percentage of Egypt's economy had been poured into creating the largest building on Earth. Yet it was never used. Some think the outer, casing blocks were not securely tied into the rest of the pyramid and began slipping, but this is far from certain. We do know that the pharaoh was never buried in the unfinished burial chamber, and by a stroke of good luck, we know who this pharaoh was. During the 18th dynasty, about 1,000 years after the Mejdum Pyramid was abandoned, a scribe named Akbarkar visited the abandoned pyramid. By this time, the era of pyramid building was long over, and no doubt he walked around wondering at its construction. He would have strolled down to the Valley Temple, about 1/4 of a mile from the pyramid. It was probably intended that the deceased pharaoh be mummified inside the temple, but it too was never used. Akbarkar walked up the causeway, connecting the valley temple with the pyramid, and came to the mortuary chapel next to the pyramid, where priests would have made the daily offerings that ensured continued existence for the soul of their king. He paused in this chapel as sunlight streamed in. He took his scribe's palette, dipped his reed brush into a bit of water, touched it to his block of black ink, and wrote on the wall, "On the 12th day of the 4th month of summer, in the 41st year of King Tuthmosis III, the scribe Bekirsen, son of Amenmesu, came to see the beautiful temple of King Sneferu. He found it as though heaven were in it, and the sun rising in it." Then he added, "May heaven rain with fresh myrrh, may it drip with incense upon the roof of the temple of King Sneferu." Because of this ancient graffito, we know that the Meshdum pyramid was built by King Sneferu, but this was not his only pyramid. Abandoning the Meshdum pyramid left Sneferu without a burial place, so a second pyramid had to be constructed. It is even possible that while the Meshdum pyramid was under construction, Sneferu's second pyramid was also being built. After all, Sosa had two burials, the Step Pyramid and his southern burial, so Sneferu may have always intended to have two pyramids. The second one, at Dasha, about 30 miles north of Meshdum, is the first pyramid designed from the beginning to be a true pyramid, one with smooth sides. There is a popular tendency to credit the Egyptians with more knowledge than they actually had. Even the Greek philosopher Plato believed that the legendary mathematicians of his past, such as Thales of Miletus and Pythagoras, had studied in Egypt. The truth is, the Egyptians only had very basic mathematical skills and probably didn't teach the Greeks anything. It doesn't take higher mathematics to build a pyramid, but it does take manpower and almost superhuman precision. Ancient architects had no way to calculate load-bearing capacities of various materials, so they worked by trial and error. Keep piling blocks on top of a granite beam until it cracks, then you know what it can support. This kind of construction can lead to disaster, and in the history of pyramid construction, no disaster stands out more than Sneferu's second pyramid, the bent pyramid of Dasha.